I could take them for you.
Yeah, let me locate them because
But
I
then
missed them.
we're going.
Call this May meeting of the Quorum Court to order. And I'm sorry, it's June. Somebody's got May on. Okay, Carly. And welcome everyone in attendance. Tonight, J.P. McHenry and Ms. Joe Patterson are out of town, and so is Mr. Zaga. The prayer and the pledge will be handled by J.P. Ann Harbison. J.P. Harbison.
We've had so many things happen this week. Oh God, give the families of those that were shot in Orlando the strength. Wrap your arms around them and console them. Also bless all families that have lost children, especially the child that was killed by the alligator in Orlando. We ask you to bless us. We need to consider all things. Everything can be healed through love. We ask these things in your Son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, J.P. Harbison. Next thing, Carly, would you call the roll, please?
Daniel Balls. Harvey Bowman. Rick Cochran. Here. Robert Dennis. Here. Lisa Ecke. Here. Ann Harbison.
Here.
Sharon Lloyd. Here. Tom Lundstrom.
Here.
Eva Madison.
Here.
Sue Madison. Here. Joe Maxwell. Here. Gary McHenry. Joe Patterson. Butch Pond.
Here.
Bill Ussery.
Here.
Quorum present. The next thing you have is the agenda, and I know of a couple of additions to the agenda. J.P. Lundstrom would like to add 18.1, which is a resolution expressing sympathy to the family and co-workers of the city employee Tyrone Rogers, and would like to have this as our as our next item on our agenda. And J.P. Cochran has an addition of 18.2, which is a resolution for a grant submission. I have those two corrections. Do I hear any more corrections to the agenda, or do I have a motion to accept it as is?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you very much. Next thing we have is 18.1, J.P. Lundstrom. Would you do the honors of reading this, please?
Thank you, Judge. This is a resolution expressing sympathy to the family and co-workers of city employee Tyrone Rogers and commending the leadership of the Washington County Sheriff's Office. Whereas on June 6, 2016, Sheriff Tim Helder, Corporal Doc Fight, Chief Deputy Jay Cantrell, Major Randall Danzer, and Major Rick Hoyt attempted to save the life of Tyrone Rogers, an employee of the city of Fayetteville who collapsed while filming a committee meeting of the Quorum Court. And whereas, without hesitation, these men immediately went to work by performing basic life-saving techniques. Sheriff Helder administered chest compressions while the defibrillator was retrieved and put to use. All of these law enforcement officers worked in concert with one another in an attempt to resuscitate the victim until paramedics arrived. And whereas it is with deepest sympathy that despite the quick actions of our leadership in the Sheriff's Office, Tyrone Rogers did not survive. And whereas Tyrone Rogers was a veteran of the United States Air Force and a part of the city of Fayetteville's telecasting team for the past 6 years, now therefore be it resolved by the Quorum Court of Washington County, Arkansas, Article 1, the Quorum Court expresses its deepest sympathy to the family of Tyrone Rogers and to his co-workers at the city of Fayetteville. Article 2, the Quorum Court commends the leadership demonstrated by the Washington County Sheriff's Office in this tragic event. And I feel we should continue to hold this family up in our prayers as time goes by, and I move that this resolution be passed.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Is there any public comment? With no further comment, Carly, would you call the roll, please?
Maxwell. Joe Maxwell,
Yes.
Gary McHenry, Joe Patterson, Butch Pond,
Yes.
Bill Ussery,
Yes.
Daniel Balls, Harvey Bowman,
Yes.
Rick Cochran,
Yes.
Robert Dennis,
Yes.
Lisa Eki,
Yes.
Ann Harbison,
Yes.
Sharon Lloyd,
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom,
Yes.
Eva Madison,
Yes.
Sue Madison.
This resolution is adopted. Thank you, Mr. Lundstrom. Now, I would like for each one of us to bow our heads in silence for Mr. Tyrone Rogers for just a second, please. Thank you very much. Now, I would also like to make a very short announcement. Graveside services for Mr. Rogers will be held tomorrow at 1 p.m. at the Fayetteville National Cemetery. To assist with the expenses, the Tyrone Rogers Memorial Funds has been set up at the Bank of Fayetteville. Donations can be made to any branch. So I just want, they rather prefer this more than flowers, and so I just wanted to get this out to the court and to the public. Thank you very much. The next thing I have in front of you is approval of the minutes.
I move approval of the minutes as you have this morning.
I have a motion to accept the minutes and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Next thing I have is a resolution number 6 authorizing Kelly Lynch to solemnize the marriage. J.P. Madison. You don't have the touch.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Judge. Let me introduce the bride-to-be who is here, Tiffany Darling, if she'd stand, and with her is Kylie Lynch, whom we hope we will authorize to perform the marriage. Our best wishes to you all. Okay, be it resolved by the Quorum Court of the County of Washington, State of Arkansas, a resolution to be entitled, a resolution authorizing Kylie Lynch to solemnize the marriage of Stephen Baird and Tiffany Darling on July 8, 2016 in Washington County. Whereas pursuant to Arkansas Code annotated 9-11-213, the Quorum Court has the authority to appoint a person to solemnize a marriage, and whereas a request for such has been made as set out above, now therefore be it resolved by the Quorum Court of the County of Washington, State of Arkansas, Article 1, Kylie Lynch is authorized to solemnize the marriage of Stephen Baird and Tiffany Darling on July 8, 2016 in Washington County, Arkansas. I move adoption of the resolution.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any public comment? With no further comment, Carly, would you call the roll?
Joe Maxwell,
Yes.
Gary McHenry, Joe Patterson, Butch Pond,
Yes.
Bill Ussery,
Yes.
Daniel Balls, Harvey Bowman,
Yes.
Rick Cochran,
Yes.
Robert Dennis,
Yes.
Lisa Eki, Ann Harbison, Sharon Lloyd,
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom,
Yes.
Eva Madison,
Yes.
Sue Madison.
Our congratulations go out to you, but I want to let you know you don't have to sit here through the whole meeting. It gets rather lengthy, and you're more than welcome to leave at your own discretion. So I just wanted you to know that. Again, congratulations. The next thing we have is a resolution in honor of the Pendergraft family. Butch Pond and Ann Harbison is going to present this.
Yes, ma'am. I've
School
got
teacher.
to be it resolved by the Quorum Court of the County of Washington, State of Arkansas, a resolution to be entitled, a resolution in honor of the Pendergraft family. Whereas Kendall and Stephanie Pendergraft both grew up on farms, and whereas the Kendall and Stephanie Pendergraft family has owned and operated a farm in Washington County for many years, and whereas the farming operation of the Pendergraft family has with hard work been met with great success, and whereas the Pendergraft family has been named the Washington County Farm Family of the Year for 2016, now therefore be it resolved by the Quorum Court of Washington County, Arkansas, that Kendall and Stephanie Pendergraft, their son Tyler and daughter Megan, are hereby honored and congratulated by the Washington County Quorum Court. And I've got a comment or two I'd like to make.
Feel free to go ahead.
I read the article in the paper. It was very well written, explanatory. I thought I might try to simplify some of the things talked about that farmers know about and some folks in town might not. The Pendergraft family farms 1,000 acres of land using best management practices. 1,000 acres is nearly a section and a half of land. A land section is a square mile. That gives people some kind of an idea of the size of that, the amount of land that they operate. Best management practice puts environmental sustainability first. In other words, whatever they do, they're going to have a tendency to make things better environmentally than what it was. When they leave a piece of land, it's better than when they walked onto it. The Pendergraft family operates 13 poultry houses. They produce nearly 2 million birds per year. That's not little bitty Cornish hens. That's the big. They're the kind like you get a big piece of chicken at that's Kentucky Fried or whatever. That's a lot of chicken dinners. The Pendergraft family also has 225 mother cows. Each cow can provide beef for a family of 4 for about a year. Maybe not my family, but we might eat a little more than some. While they do what they do and love to do what they do, the Pendergrafts keep our environment safer and cleaner and look for other ways to give back to our community. Modern farming is a win-win process for our region. Encourage a farmer when you can. Every year we lose agri land. And our water quality issue becomes a little more critical with each acre of agri land that we lose. And I believe we have someone here from the Extension Office that might want to say a little word. Besides Ms. Harbison probably has something to say also.
Well, let's go ahead and do a motion and get our second, and then we'll have more discussion.
Move to pass
7.1.
7.1.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Well, Mr. Kurtz was going to be here tonight, but he could not be here, so he has sent someone in his place. Josh, will you come forward and introduce yourself? We're kind of glad you're here because you're kind of new to us. So tell us who you are and make a comment or two if you'd like. We'd love to hear from you.
Thank you, Madam Judge. I'm Joshua Bergstrom. I'm the new Agricultural County Extension Agent over the university here for Washington County. And it's too bad Kendall couldn't be here because he honestly did such a great job just explaining the honor that this award of being the Farm Family of the Year really meant to him. But I'm trying to sum it up really quick here. Last week when they judged and the press came out, it was about being an ambassador of agriculture for them. And the fact that now, and they're very proud and honored to have that title here in the county. When you look at the county, you have millions of birds on a single farm. But think about your Tysons and your Georges and your Simmons and the Cargills. And agriculture in this county is huge. It's a huge industry here. And it's so important for families who do the work and strive to do it well and right and take care of the conservation, take care of the land, get recognized. And so thank you all for supporting this, sponsoring the resolution, putting on them, for them.
Thank you, Josh, for being here. We do appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
The next, we have any public comment?
We have
Oh, I'm sorry. You're not public, but I'll recognize you.
Okay. Thank you. I just want to put my 2 cents in. You know, agriculture still is the backbone of this county, and it brings in millions and millions of dollars. And it's an honor for this family to be recognized for their work and their stewardship and their leadership. So, you know, congratulations to them, and I hope they win the state Farm Family of the Year. Thank you.
Thank you, J.P. Harbison. Any other public comment? With no comments, Carla, would you call the roll, please?
Joe Maxwell. Yes. Gary McHenry. Joe Patterson. Butch Pond.
Yes.
Bill Ussery.
Yes.
Daniel Balls.
Yes.
Harvey Bowman.
Yes.
Rick Cochran.
Yes.
Robert Dennis.
Yes.
Lisa Ecke.
Yes.
Ann Harbison.
Yes.
Sharon Lloyd.
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom.
Yes.
Eva Madison.
Yes.
Sue Madison.
Yes.
This resolution is adopted. And again, like I told the other folks here, Josh, you don't have to sit here all night. I know you got better things to do. But again, thank you for being here. We appreciate it. This resolution has been passed. Okay, the next thing we have, I don't think Bobby's in a hurry, but we're going to go ahead and let him be recognized. He's got a daughter that's in a championship ball game, so he's
I don't know, it's cooler in here.
go fast.
All right. Thank you, Madam Judge. Hello, everybody. 8.1. Before we get to that, I thought y'all might like to know, I looked back at the first 5 months of 2015, compared it to the first 5 months of this year, and our revenue is up. In the general fund, I'm only talking about the general fund, revenue is up 4.6% and expenditures are down 1.4%. So that's a good sign going forward. Thought y'all might like to know that. All right, 8.1. First line, 1,000 general, the revenue is 4.5 million, expenditures 2.5 million. Most of the revenue was 3.3 million came in property taxes. We did get an extra 66,000 in general turnback that we weren't expecting. We normally get 100,000. We normally get 33,000 of abandoned mineral proceeds, and this year they're giving us 100,000. So one-time only thing though. So general ended with just under 14 million in the bank. Road continues to do well. Began the month at 1.7, ended at 2.1. Down to 3017 jail. Likewise doing well. Ended with almost 1.2 million in the bank, and 300,000 of that was prisoner reimbursement from the feds and the state. This money continues to flow in nicely. All right, 8.2. 1 cent sales tax. After a big increase last month, we did fall back a little in May with just a 1.19% increase. But as long as we're on the plus side, I think we're all happy with that. 8.3, jail tax. Got in 761,000. Again, that's a little over 1% increase. And for the year, that's $213,000 over what we were last year at the same time. 8.4, road tax. Again, a slight increase. This was 2%. Got in almost 116,000 this month. And 8.5 is Nelson's insurance report. We began with 1.5 and we ended about 1.5. That's about all I know about that report. That's all I have. Any questions?
Y'all have any questions for Bobby? Yes, Butch.
Well, what about the ball game? Where's the ball game?
Hasbell.
Who's the star player?
Well, my daughter, of course.
What's her name?
Audrey.
Okay, that's it.
All right.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you.
Next thing we have is our comptroller's report. Ashley, would you come forward, please?
Hello. 9.1 is our unappropriated reserves. There wasn't any changes this month due to the ordinance last month washed out, so there weren't any changes for general or jail. 9.2, that's our revenue and expenditure report. The unappropriated reserves balance is on the far right side that you can see for each fund, and we should be approximately at 42% expend. So, and then 9.3 did someone have a question? Oh. 9.3 is our statement of operations, which includes encumbrances, and 2, we should be about at 42%. And then, yes.
Why is 3005, the county clerk, why is that fine at 80% if we should be about 42? I mean, what's making it so high? 3005.
Are you looking at the statement of
I'm
operations?
looking at 9.2. 9.2.
9.2.
Didn't you say this one was where it should be about 42%? Do we know why that's at 80?
Well,
For the what? I don't know.
I'll look into it before, just to be on the safe side and make sure there's nothing strange going on.
And then we've got a 3028 that's at 93. I mean, those are just big numbers. That's, yeah. Okay, I would appreciate you looking into it.
Yes, I
Yeah.
will look into it
Thank
and
you.
report back.
Thank you.
The next thing that I wanted to bring to your attention on 9.4 is just a personal services report. Basically, I wanted to bring this to your attention because we're not doing our quarterly housekeeping reports where we would kind of, any money that was left over from the quarter, we would sweep back up into the general fund. These were line items that I came across that were negative. This is something that I wanted to bring to your attention just to let you know that it's okay if we don't go ahead and clear them now, but it will be something that I will have added to the end of the year housekeeping report. Sorry, the housekeeping report. And like I said, it's just something I wanted to bring to your attention. And so, but that is all I have.
Any questions for Ashley? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
One quick question, if I may, Judge.
Sure,
How's it
go
going?
ahead.
Good. Hi.
Good. I'm just, your new job, your new position, just everything is,
A little overwhelming, but it's just fine.
welcome to the neighborhood. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, it's not too bad. She took a 3-day vacation, so she must be okay. She did. Okay. Next thing we have is number 10, appropriation ordinance. Mr. Pond.
Yes, ma'am. 10.1, an ordinance changing a personnel position in the Public Defender's Office budget for 2016. Article 1, the Public Defender's budget, 1000-0417, hereby amended to change the investigator, court, and trial assistant position, grade 15, slot 04170003, to an investigator, court, and trial coordinator position, grade 18, position for 2016. Article 2, there's hereby appropriated the amount of $3,754 from the general fund to the following line items in the public defender's budget for 2016. Public defender, salaries full-time slot 04170003, 1000417-1001, $3,072. Social Security, $236. Non-contributory retirement, $446. Total appropriation, $3,754.
I'd like to make a correction on this. It's not a trail, it's a trial. So, Scribner's mistake, we'll get that. Thank you. But thank you, we'll get that corrected. Do I have a motion to?
I'm so moved to pass 10.1.
I have a motion and a
With
second.
amendment to the trial instead of trail.
Any discussion? Any public comment? Carly, would you call the roll, please?
Joe Maxwell. Yes. Gary McHenry. Joe Patterson. Butch Pond.
Yes.
Bill Ussery.
Yes.
Daniel Balls. Yes. Harvey Bowman. Rick Cochran.
Yes.
Robert Dennis.
Yes.
Lisa Eki.
Yes.
Ann Harbison. Sharon Lloyd.
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom.
Yes.
Eva Madison.
Yes.
Sue Madison.
Thank you, J.P. Pond. Next one we have is number 11, another ordinance, J.P. Cochran.
Thank you, Judge. 11.1 is an ordinance recognizing additional revenue of $7,400 in the general fund and appropriating the amount of $7,400 to the district court security budget for 2016. Article 1, there is hereby recognized additional revenue of $7,400 in the state grants revenue line item of the general fund for 2016. And Article 2, there is hereby appropriated the amount of $7,400 from the general fund to the following line items in the district court security budget for 2016. District court security, small equipment, $3,200. Building supplies and materials, $4,200, for a total appropriation of $7,400. Move to pass 11.1.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any public comment? With no comment, Carly, please call the roll.
Joe Maxwell. Yes. Gary McHenry. Joe Patterson. Butch Pond.
Yes.
Bill Ussery.
Yes.
Daniel Balls.
Yes.
Harvey Bowman.
Yes.
Rick Cochran.
Yes.
Robert Dennis.
Yes.
Lisa Eki.
Yes.
Ann Harbison.
Yes.
Sharon Lloyd.
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom.
Yes.
Eva Madison.
Yes.
Sue Madison.
Yes.
This ordinance is adopted. Number 12, J.P. Cochran.
Thank you, Judge. 12.1 is an ordinance anticipating and appropriating additional revenue of $940,989 in the FEMA fund for 2016. Article 1, there is hereby anticipated revenue of $940,989 in the FEMA disaster relief revenue line item of the FEMA fund for 2016. Article 2, there is hereby appropriated the amount of $940,989 from the FEMA fund to the special projects line item FEMA 2015/2016 flood budget for 2016. I move to pass 12.1.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any public comment? Go ahead and come forward, Renee.
Hello. On this FEMA money, I wanted to explain to you that a large portion of this is for a Dye Creek Bridge. It was 2 low water crossings that were washed out. Most projects, small projects, are estimated. If we spend less, we get to keep the money. It works. It's a great deal. Large projects over $121,000 are actual cost. Dye Creek Bridge is coming in at right around $600,000, somewhere in that ballpark. We're working with Garver Engineering to do a cradle-to-grave project on that so that they'll oversee the whole project from start to finish, inspections, everything. But there's a possibility that we may have to come and ask for money out of the reserves to float the project until we can get reimbursements from FEMA on an actual cost basis. And I wanted to make you aware that it might be coming. All right, thank you.
Okay. Did I get a motion on this? And I have a second? We're to discussion. Any public comment? With no comments, further comments, Carly, please call the roll.
Joe Maxwell.
Yes.
Gary McHenry. Joe Patterson. Butch Pond.
Yes.
Bill Ussery.
Yes.
Daniel Balls. Harvey Bowman.
Yes.
Rick Cochran.
Yes.
Robert Dennis.
Yes.
Lisa Ecke.
Yes.
Ann Harbison.
Yes.
Sharon Lloyd.
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom.
Yes.
Eva Madison.
Yes.
Sue Madison.
Yes.
Okay, number 13. JP
Thank you,
Conklin.
Judge. 13.1 is an ordinance recognizing and appropriating additional revenue of $500 in the JDC Grant Fund for 2016. Article 1, there is hereby recognized additional revenue of $500 in the state grants revenue line item of the JDC Grant Fund for 2016. Article 2, there is hereby appropriated the amount of $500 from the JDC Grant Fund to the small equipment line item of the HOFNOD budget for 2016. I move to pass 13.1.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Public comment? Carly, call the roll.
Joe Maxwell.
Yes.
Gary McHenry. Joe Patterson. Butch Pond.
Yes.
Bill Ussery.
Yes.
Daniel Balls. Harvey Bowman.
Yes.
Rick Cochran.
Yes.
Robert Dennis.
Yes.
Lisa Ecke. Ann Harbison.
Yes.
Sharon Lloyd.
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom.
Yes.
Eva Madison.
Yes.
Sue Madison.
Yes.
This ordinance is passed. Next thing we have is County Judge Report. First thing I have on here is an annual report from our Washington Regional Medical Center. Mr. Bradley, would you please come forward, introduce yourself, and tell us what you know?
That won't take long. I'm Bill Bradley, CEO of Washington Regional. You should have a handout in front of you that's our annual report, which you can read at your leisure. I'll walk you through a few things that I think are important to note. If you turn to page 5, you know, one of the things, if you drive by the hospital very much, particularly lately, our central issue is growth. And, you know, we've been the fastest growing hospital in Arkansas for 2014 and 2015. We expect that to continue in 2016, so there's a compounding type effect. And then we know in 2017, when all of our expansion opens, that will be probably the fastest growing hospital in the state for that period as well. So, and if you look at the square footage, when Washington Regional moved out there, once we are through with our expansion, we will have doubled the size of the hospital out there, the campus. Why all the growth? I think y'all are aware of some of the reasons. It's kind of a perfect storm. One reason is aging baby boomers, which I'm in that group. So, but they age into becoming more healthcare consumers. We're in a high growth market, which is a nice thing, and so part of it's keeping up with the market. In the past couple of years, we brought some services to the market that have never been here before, and that's enabled people to stay in the community for some care that otherwise they would have gone somewhere else for. When you really think about it, if you want to look at it in pretty simplistic terms, unless you need a transplant or have a severe major burn, we can take care of it. Those are the two things that we don't do. And then, you know, market share gains. There's more and more people, we think, that are picking Washington Regional for their care. There's evidence to support that. It may be surprising to the court that 30% of our patients come from outside Washington County. So that's Benton County, but it goes, we get patients from 17 different counties, so we reach out pretty far. By the end of the year, on page 7, you'll see our expansion is going to be complete. That's 100 additional patient rooms that we'll be adding. It's not unusual for us to be full right now. There's a few days we jump through all the hoops we can to avoid being on divert status, but there's a few days when we have been where patients had to be diverted to other hospitals. We have a 350-space parking garage that's partially open right now. If you've tried to park at the hospital, you'll be anxious to use that. We didn't gain 350 spots because it was put on top of an existing parking lot, but we did gain 250 spots. We'll have 3,500 deliveries, we think, in infant deliveries in 2017, which it will be between us and Baptist and Little Rock who's delivering the most babies in Arkansas. So going to be busy. Part of this expansion, you might have read in the paper, is a Ronald McDonald House, which will enable, we'll have a much expanded neonatal intensive care unit. It'll be 3 times the size what we have now. A lot of those babies will come from outlying areas and be in the hospital a while. This will provide a place for their parents and family members to stay just 1 floor away and go down the elevator and visit. So we're excited about that, and the only other one in the state is Arkansas Children's Hospital. On page 8, you'll see our medical office building. That will be complete February of 17, which a couple months after our main expansion. You can see some of the services that are going to be in there. I think the imaging center is one of the more important ones because right now a lot of the patients have to navigate the hospital, which can be confusing. And this will be more of a curbside drive up and get your test, go home type setup. Probably one of the things I'm proudest of is the number of jobs we've created over the past 10 years. The exact number is 683, so that's a major employer in itself, and we need every one of them. Matter of fact, one of our biggest challenges right now is hiring enough people to keep up with the growth. Our community benefit was $16 million to charity care, uncompensated care, or community services last year. That $16 million is based on cost, not charges. The main beneficiaries of that are Welcome Health, the prenatal clinic through the County Department of Health, HIV clinic through the County Department of Health. A lot of tuition assistance with our manpower issues, the tuition assistance and scholarships for clinicians, and then direct support to some of the schools, nursing schools in particular. The other thing that, we're interested in managing our own cost, not just patient costs. So we joined a purchasing consortium this year. The flagship organization in that consortium is Mayo Clinic, but there's $6.5 billion worth of medical supplies bought through this consortium, which gives us a lot of buying power across 21 states. So we're benefiting from that alliance. Excuse me. On page 11, you see some of the community outreach efforts that we're participating in. I think one of the more interesting ones is a partnership with the University of Arkansas, where we're working with pre-med students and nursing students that are honor students that will actually go out and work with some of the elderly patients to help them with medication compliance and answering questions, making sure if there's any changes in their health status, that gets back to the physicians. It's really a good experience for these students. The acceptance rate for students that have gone through this in medical school is very high, assuming their grades are high, and they are, but this is almost a automatic get-in card in a lot of medical schools with this experience, and Dr. Mark Thomas leads that effort. The other thing that we've put together to kind of cope with some of the changes in healthcare is the Partnership for a Healthy Arkansas. Our partners are St. Bernard's Hospital in Jonesboro, Baptist Hospital in Little Rock, UAMS in Little Rock, and Blue Cross Blue Shield. It's kind of unique that we have a healthcare payer in our partnership, but and we're looking at ways to make populations healthier. We're looking for ways to reduce our cost on the provider side. An example might be some of our overhead functions that are, duplicated from hospital to hospital. There may be a way to do some centralization there and get economies of scale. But so we're excited about those two partnerships and outreach, not just in our own community, but to the state. I think everybody's heard probably enough about our stroke program, but the best part of our stroke program is hearing the testimonials of the patients that have fully recovered, where before we did our stroke program, we would have put on a helicopter and hope for the best. And sometimes that happened, sometimes it didn't. But our outcomes have been pretty phenomenal. On page 14, you get an idea of a couple new treatments that we're doing. We also celebrated a milestone this year. Our Senior Health Center is Pat Walker Center for Seniors. Has been open 10 years. With a senior clinic. The genesis of that clinic was community feedback that from the elderly, the over 65, that they couldn't get an appointment with a doctor. And this doesn't solve the problem, but it certainly mitigated the problem. And we're always looking to expand this. One thing that's interesting to note is our medical staff. It may be surprising to you, but we have 400 physicians on our medical staff now. So that's a lot of doctors to put up with. But it's, there's been a lot going on. I think our mobile dental clinic, most of you are affectionately known as the Tooth Mobile. It's seeing about 1,500 patients a year. That's underwritten by Delta Dental and Walmart, and our dentist actually drives it, so it's worked out good. And I'd encourage you to read what the Cancer Support Home and Faith in Action do. They're great organizations, and some of the recognition, probably the number one recognition we received this year on page 2021 was an independent third party that's an aggregator of quality and performance metrics in hospitals, put together an analysis and determined in 19 categories we were in the top 10% of hospitals nationally, including the overall hospital care, which we're very proud of that. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions anybody might have.
Any questions for Mr. Bradley? Yes, J.P. Ussery.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Can you give us a snapshot of where you think the medical field is going over the next year, as far as we're hearing all kinds of horror stories that Obamacare is just getting ready to explode, and I'm wondering how that would affect you, and if you've got some insight or something, what your take on that is.
Well, we view healthcare years like dog years, so 1 equals 7. But I think one of the reasons, part of the growth is there's some people through the health exchange that have access to health care really for the first time. And the first year, the utilization was pretty moderate because they never had insurance before. And now their utilization is increasing because they're figuring out how to use it. I think that's a good thing. It's going to result long-term in healthier populations, which long-term should reduce cost. the administration of it, I think, is a major headache, and that's typically where the problems come up. And I don't know what you mean by Obamacare exploding, but I think, that can be exploding, getting bigger, or exploding and going away. But I think it's been around long enough that it isn't going to go away, and I think it's going to get modified, which anything that exists is that complex over time, you'd be remiss if you didn't modify it and improve it as you went along. And but that's my 2 cents, and my guess is no better than anybody else's, I don't think. And politics play a big part in it. Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Bradley.
Thank you.
We always appreciate having you.
Well, thank you.
Next thing we have on the agenda is Becky Stewart. Becky, bring as many with you as you want to. We can pull up chairs.
I'm Becky Stewart, Chief with Central EMS, the Washington County Regional Ambulance Authority, and they'll be up here in just a couple minutes. But before I introduce them, I wanted to go over our annual report that I provided you. It is 1 page, and this is a snapshot of 2015 as compared to previous years. What's significant is that we've had an increase in call volume steadily. The first table you see, about 1% a year. And we're seeing that increase in emergency calls. And our activity seems to lag behind the growth in population by a few years. So we expected to see this. The other numbers I'd like to point out are on the bottom left, and those are by community. And those include, for instance, the Cincinnati community is not a city per se, that's actually county area, but we have that zoned, and so we know how many calls we respond to in that area. In 2015, we ran 61 calls in the Cincinnati area. Altogether, for unincorporated Washington County, we ran 2,404 emergency calls. So, for the unincorporated area of Washington County, 2,404 calls. There's a little bit of information on how accurate our dispatch center is. We are the only accredited dispatch center in the state of Arkansas that provides emergency medical dispatch, and we're working on our accreditation for emergency fire dispatch. What that means to the public is that we provide a set of protocol standards that everybody that calls for a particular complaint gets the same type of direction. On the back side shows our response times. Again, a chart that takes a glimpse at the activity, and some of us people like to see the graph, and it's obviously increasing. And below you see some of the significant events. We talk about upgrades in software. We talk about expansion and the work that all of the JPs and the judge and the mayors in the county did for the new interlocal agreement going forward. And with that, I will stop and answer
Any questions?
I have a question. On the call type, on 2015, on the circle graph?
Yes, ma'am.
Wheelchair, 23%. Is that just transporting somebody?
Yes, that is strictly no medical attention.
Okay.
An individual who is, it was a typically discharged from the hospital who would have a ride home in a wheelchair because it was more comfortable than in a private vehicle.
And so that's, I didn't realize that was something EMS would do, because that didn't seem like it was
Well, we no longer do that.
Okay.
As of January 1, 2016, we stopped that service.
Okay.
Well, not quite that. We helped other providers evolve into providing that, so we really stopped February 11th.
Okay, thank you.
J.P. Cochran, and then J.P. Dennis.
Thank you, Judge. I want to compliment you on one of your statistics on the backside, the cardiac arrest save rate at 27% for 2015. When you compare that to the national average in your footnote of 7%, people arriving who
Wow.
present with that. That's fantastic care by your team. Please let them know we appreciate that. I'm in that elder group, and I might be riding with you someday, and knowing that I've got a pretty good shot at getting there with a pulse makes me feel really good about what you guys do. Thank you.
Thank you.
J.P. Dennis.
I just wanted to say thank you. This Tuesday night, or Tuesday morning, very early, we got to use your service, so thank you very much. Did a great job.
You're welcome. Sorry that we had to be there, but I'm glad we did a good job.
Wonderful.
Any other questions or comments for Becky? Thank you. Yes, Becky.
If I might, I would like to take 2 minutes of your time to provide you with a tool. Please indulge me, and I've talked to Karen about this. We have our paramedics and CPR instructors here who are willing to give us a 90-second, that's all it takes to learn, demonstration on how to do hands-only CPR. So
bring them forward.
For most of us, we've learned probably 20 years ago, and we had to do mouth to mouth until our lips were sore. And that was even before we were a medical professional. Now, the American Heart Association has said, listen, we understand that where the difference is the bystander, is the person that is actually with someone who collapses. So we, the first responder community in Washington County, not just Central EMS, but all the fire departments, have committed to providing hands-only CPR training to over 2,000 people by the end of December. And when I say 90 seconds, I mean that's it. That's all it takes to train somebody how to do this. And we have Captain Jerry Mayer and Battalion Chief Kirkendall, Dustin Gibson, paramedic, and Tedra Williams, EMT. And the first thing you do is, are they unresponsive? Call 911. The next thing you do is push hard and fast in the center of the chest. And to the beat of Staying Alive. Right. I'm not going to sing it. I can't. But basically it is fast. Faster than you think. It's not 1/1000 anymore. It's just as fast as you can. That's it. That's all we have to do as a bystander. Thank you, guys. And we provided you with a handout, information, and business cards. And feel free to contact us if you would like further education for your family, your community group, church, business. Just give us a call. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Becky. We do appreciate it very much. Yes, go right ahead.
Thank you, Madam Judge. I do have a question. If it was an infant, is the compression rate the same?
Yes, ma'am, it's the same.
And when you said Staying Alive, is that the song?
The
Is that
song.
what you're talking about?
John Travolta.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been out of this.
You can actually YouTube a video.
Where have I been? Man alive. So it's the same thing, but with your fingers?
2 fingers.
2 fingers, yeah. So that remains the same.
Up to a year old.
Okay.
2 fingers. And then up to 8 from a year to 8, it's 1 hand. And then adult is 8 and up, and it's
okay.
2. And for the
You have a line
bystander,
routine.
that's it. No ventilations, just do the chest compressions. That's all we ask. And it works.
Thank you
Thank you
again.
so
Thank
much.
Appreciate it very much.
That's it. Come on.
Brings back memories. Staying alive.
Is Renee still here?
Yeah, I mean, you get that in your head and.
Is Renee still here?
Don't see her.
She's in the hallway.
Oh, hey, Doc, tell Renee I need her. Thank you guys very much. Have a pleasant evening.
Thank you.
You have a couple of announcements, don't you, Renee?
I do.
Okay.
I just want you all to know, currently in Washington County, we still have people without potable drinking water. We've done water projects over the years, but we still have people without potable drinking water that are hauling water or going to water distribution things that you fill your gallon jugs. So I want to make everyone that's watching aware of 2 opportunities for rural residents of Washington County. The first program is called a Section 504 Home Improvement Program. It's offered through USDA, United States Department of Agriculture. The program offers grants to residents who are over 62 years of age, who own and occupy their homes, have an income of 50% of the area median income, and are unable to obtain affordable credit elsewhere. And for those residents who qualify for that, they can get up to a $7,500 grant to pay to remove health and safety hazards from their homes, i.e. septic systems, tie onto public water systems, install a potable drinking water source, install a well, and these are grants that are available. And so that's the first one.
Now, let me ask you a question before we go on. This is available. They hear this tonight on TV. Who do they contact to ask questions on this?
They can contact my office, and I was going to finish with that. Renee Bybee, Grant Administrator. I'll get you to the right person. My phone number is 444-1895. This program offers loans as well for 1% interest rate over a 20-year period for up to $20,000.
Okay, thank you.
I also have one more.
Okay, go ahead.
There's also another program. It's called the Water Well Trust Fund, which is also another USDA-funded program. It was a grant that was given to Water Well Trust, which is a 501c3 nonprofit. This program is to increase potable drinking water. Oftentimes, in the areas that we've extended water to because of terrain, we haven't been able to maybe serve a few people down a road because it was just too steep or other cost prohibitive. So this is a trust fund that was established so you can obtain a grant for up to $11,000 to have a well dug or to rehabilitate a current well that you may have using today's techniques instead of 100 years ago to give you clean, potable water. And again, 444-1895.
Thank you, Renee.
Thanks.
Back in April, the Quorum Court adopted a resolution supporting the Springdale City Council request to name the Springdale North Bypass as the John Tillman Hussey Highway. I wanted to inform the Quorum Court tonight that I have received notice from the State Highway Department that this request has been approved. So now I don't know when the signs and so on and so forth will go up, but the State Highway Department has approved it. And I want to let you know that I'm calling a special Quorum Court meeting on Thursday, July the 7th at 5:30 for the purpose to begin discussion on items pertaining to the upcoming 2017 budget process. Basic financial information will be provided at that time. However, the main focus on this meeting will pertain to the 2017 Employment Health Insurance Program. So this will be a special meeting that we will call July the 7th at 5:30 to start some procedures on the budget. And with the recent animal issue that has arisen out in the county, I have reestablished memberships on the Animal Concern Advisory Board. I have called an organizational meeting of the board for next Tuesday, June the 21st at 6 o'clock at the animal shelter. I have a list of all the people that I have called, and they have agreed to serve on this board. So this, and if you want a list of these, Karen can provide them for you. But this meeting will be June the 21st at 6 o'clock, and anyone is welcome to attend, but it will be for these members. What they will do is they'll get together, they'll decide their chair, their vice chair. They'll also decide how many, if they want to meet quarterly, they want to meet monthly, what time they want to meet, but then they will determine all of that after I've established this committee to come back. Now, we had this committee set up at one time, and so that committee dissolved, and we didn't have anyone else to serve on that board. Everyone that was appointed, their time had expired in 15. So there are no members that still have appointments that are pertain to this board, but these are the list of the people, and it's quite a variety of people. In fact, let me just read you some of the names off. Mike Emery, which is animal advocate. Mary Beth Lohr, animal advocate. Amy Smith, she's from Farmington. She's formerly from HSO. Christine Mayer, which is HSO. Gloria Stewart from Elkin. She's a farmer. LaJoyce Duncan, West Fork. She's a farmer. Dr. Lloyd Keck, West Fork, veterinarian. Dr. Vicki Lunsford from Springdale. She's a veterinarian. And Teresa Driver, she is a mental health therapist for animals. And so they have all agreed to serve, and so I feel very honored that they'll be there, and then they'll be sworn in that night, and then they will they will proceed with their own meeting once they get sworn in. So because of all the problems we've had with animals, I just wanted to get this reestablished and get it restarted. So, and that concludes my report. The next thing we have is county services. Eva, did you have a?
We did not meet, Judge.
Thank you. Public Works, Harvey?
We did not meet.
Okay. Personnel, Butch Pond?
Yes, ma'am, and I imagine Ms. Harbison's got a question for you about the Animal Concerns Advisory.
No, it's not the animals. So Woolsey Bridge, are you going to report on that?
No, not tonight. Now, I mean, we can just tell them, yeah, that we're getting ready. Well, yeah, I'll go ahead. I will say a little bit about it because I don't know a whole lot about it as of yet. Woolsey Bridge, we are having a meeting with some of the highway people, and they are moving forward with it. Like I say, right now, it's very vague, but we do know that they are getting ready to come in. They're getting ready. We're working on easements right now to make sure they're all confirmed. The biggest easements you have problems with is your utility lines, and I think we've got those all confirmed. So they will be moving forward on that. We're in the process of going forward with it now, so.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. The Washington County Quorum Court Personnel Committee met Monday, June 6th at 5:30 here at the Quorum Courtroom. We had a JSAP committee report from HR Director Lindsay Huffaker. JSAP considered a number of requests, including a reorganization of the positions at JDC. Some positions changed several grades that will result in some salary increases and some decreases. These will be brought to the Personnel Committee at a future meeting. We had a request from Public Defender Denny Heislip to upgrade the investigator court and trial assistant position grade 15 to an investigator court and trial coordinator position grade 18 in the public defender's budget for 2016. Thank you all for cooperating on that. We had a motion from Ann Harbison. Ann made the motion to forward this to the full quorum court with a do pass recommendation. And again, thank you. And then we had an overview presentation on the Arkansas Public Employees Retirement System, APERS, from HR Director Lindsay Huffaker, and I believe that was recorded and televised. when we had that up, and that was very informative. That was the conclusion of our meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, J.P. Pond. The next thing I have is jail law enforcement, J.P. Lundstrom.
Yes, we did meet. We only had the Juvenile Detention Center report when the health problem with Mr. Rogers arose, and the sheriff and his men went in there to help him. And we decided it was best to just go ahead and cancel the balance of that meeting, and it will resume at our next regular meeting. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, J.P. Lundstrom. J.P. Usry on ordinance review.
The Ordinance Review Committee is meeting next week instead of this week due to scheduling conflicts. We are also going to be meeting with the people from the IT department and reviewing that ordinance as well. So those are things coming up. And then obviously we have some things coming up tonight. The very first section that we were hoping to pass. Thank you.
That concludes our committee reports. Next thing we have is an ordinance amending the Bill Usry on the county codes. J.P. Usry?
I'm not sure how much of this that we need to read. If it's okay, I would just like to read the parts that changed.
Sure.
Would that be
The parts that
acceptable?
changed is underlined, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
They're either underlined or they are struck out.
Hang on just a minute, I think we have some confusion. J.P. Madison, are you okay with this? Okay. Do you make a motion to how you want to handle this?
Okay. I make a motion that we read the changes only.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? No. I think yours was the only, okay. Okay.
Judge?
Yes, J.P. Lundstrom.
I would vote no, too. This first part should be read, the whereases in the article.
Right.
Because that defines what the ordinance is all about, plus the underlying material.
Okay, let's do a roll call. Hang on just, Carla, would you call the roll to see who wants to just read the changes or if they want to read the entire ordinance?
Oh, yeah, we voted. I'd be happy to accept that as a friendly amendment, Mr. Lundstrom.
I think we've already voted, they said, so that we're going to have to proceed as we've already done it, so, with changes only, so.
Okay.
So yes, is reading the entire thing or no?
No, we've already voted, yeah. So you're going to read the changes? You are the one that you'll need to read it, because we
Okay.
don't have our reader here.
Okay. All right, so is it that okay? Just, if it's okay with, I'll go ahead and read the first part of it, and then I'll read the changes. I think
That'll
that
help,
makes the
yeah.
most sense. Thank you very much. All right, and so this is an ordinance amending Washington County Code Section 2-2 through 217. Whereas the Quorum Court has been reviewing the Washington County Code of Ordinances, and whereas it's been determined that sections of the code are in need of amendment. Now therefore, be it ordained by the Quorum Court of Washington County, Arkansas, Article 1, Washington County Code Sections 2-2 through 2-17 are hereby amended to read as follows. And Chapter 2, Administration, Article 2 in general, tobacco use and tobacco, we're just changing smoking to tobacco use in each one of those, that tobacco use in county-owned or county-leased buildings or in county vehicles is prohibited. Tobacco use is prohibited in all buildings owned or building spaces leased by the county government. Tobacco use in county-owned vehicles is prohibited, and then it's prohibited, and in definitions, the county vehicle means any motor vehicle or road equipment owned or controlled by the county. Tobacco use means holding a lighted pipe, cigar or cigarette of any kind, or lighting or emitting or exhaling the smoke of a pipe, cigarette or a cigar of any kind, and includes the use of any tobacco product and electronic cigarettes. Signs shall be posted at each public entrance informing both employees and the public that tobacco use is prohibited. The county may provide tobacco use education and cessation programs during work hours for employees wishing to stop tobacco use. This is an effort to promote a healthy attitude about the benefits of not using
JP
tobacco.
Usry, we're going to have to back up to just reading it by what changed.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
Because that's what we voted on.
Okay, that's fine. I was just trying to make it make sense. That's perfectly fine. All right, and so then in item F, we changed smoking to tobacco use. And then the quorum court generally regular meetings. The time and place of the regular meeting shall be furnished to anyone who requests information. And then skipping on to the, in section 2-17, in section E, we struck through if time permits.
What about B under section 216?
Okay, I'm sorry, I skipped a page. All right, in section B, it's changed to by declaration of emergency or determination that emergency exists and the safety of the general public is at risk. The county judge shall change the date, place, or time of the regular meeting of the quorum court. Okay. If I've already read C, then we'll skip to the next page. And in section E, there are two, if time permits, I'm sorry, D, if time permits, and in E, if time permits, those guys were struck out. All right, and that concludes 16.1. So I move to pass 16.1 with the changes as noted.
Second.
I have a motion and a okay. Do you have a motion to suspend the rules and place it?
Motion to suspend the rules and move to the second reading? By title only.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on it? Carla, would you call the roll? And what we're voting on now is to suspend the rules and place it on second reading. By title only, yes, ma'am.
Joe Max.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
I think given how that reading went, I'm a little concerned about us zipping through it tonight. I'm not sure that that sort of qualifies. I mean, no, it's just how it's scattered. It's, I'll vote no, because I think we should leave this on first reading.
Okay. Any other discussion? Carla, would you call the roll?
Joe Maxwell.
Yes.
Gary McHenry. Joe Patterson. Butch Pond.
Yes.
Bill Usry.
Yes.
Daniel Bowles.
Yes.
Harvey Bowman.
Yes.
Rick Cochran.
No.
Robert Dennis.
Yes.
Lisa Ecke.
Yes.
Ann Harbison.
Yes.
Sharon Lloyd.
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom.
Yes.
Eva Madison.
No.
Sue Madison.
Okay. We're going to read it by title only for the second reading. J.P. Usry.
Okay. All right. Be it ordained by the Quorum Court of the County of Arkansas, State of Washington, an ordinance to be entitled, an ordinance amending Washington County Codes Sections 2-2 through 2-17. All right. And I move to pass this on to the third reading.
By title only.
By title only. Yes, ma'am. Suspend the rules.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Yes, J.P. Madison.
Thank you. Madam Judge, I have to say I kind of feel the need for our county attorney tonight. We generally always read an ordinance in full the first time. And since Mr. Zega's not here and we have a former county attorney present, might we ask him if there is statutory requirement for these things to be read in full the first time, or why is it that we always do that? Would you mind, please?
No. Do I have a motion to ask our former county? Do we need a motion for that?
We have a motion on the floor.
George, would you be willing to give us an opinion? Sure. Okay.
The statute, you don't have to read it in full like the first time. You could suspend the rules and read about title only every time if you wanted to. So, but I understand what you're saying. Usually it does get read in full first time. But I can remember some some occasions in the past where we would suspend the rules and read about title only just in one night, depending on the ordinance.
Well, let me ask you if we've ever read where we just tried to address the changes, and the reading didn't really follow the motion.
We have tried to do that before, and as you can see, it could be somewhat awkward at times. We have done that before. But I think if you suspended the rules, which require 2/3 majority, then you're okay in the way it was read.
What is 2/3?
Did we have 2/3?
Yeah, I'm asking, did we have 2/3?
It takes 10 votes of the 2/3 of the entire court membership, so it takes
And
10.
we had,
Okay.
we had
Are you-
5
did-
no's. Yes, I'm through.
J.P. Cochran, did you have a question? Did you have a question for George?
Yes, ma'am. May I?
Okay.
Would you opine on, is our first reading in order?
I think it is.
Thank you.
Yes, I think it is.
Thank you.
Okay, so now, are we ready for a call on this, to suspend the rules? Do we need to vote on that, to place it on the third reading? Okay, let's do a roll call to suspend the rules and place it on the third and final reading.
Joel Maxwell,
Yes.
Gary McHenry, Joe Patterson, Butch Pond.
Yes.
Bill Ussery.
Yes.
Daniel Balls.
Yes.
Harvey Bowman.
Yes.
Rick Cochran.
Yes.
Robert Dennis. Lisa Eki.
Yes.
Ann Harbison.
Yes.
Sharon Lloyd.
Yes.
Tom Lindstrom.
Yes.
Eva Madison.
No.
Sue Madison.
Yes.
Okay, so now if we read it by title only now, J.P. Ussery.
Okay. All right, be it ordained by the Quorum Court of the County of Washington, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled, an ordinance amending Washington County Code Section 2-2 through 2-17. I move to pass.
I have a motion and a second to pass. Do I have any discussion? Yes, go to J.P. Bowman.
In looking at this, I'm having trouble finding problems with it, and I'd like to some of our members that's voting no on this to point out some of the issues they're concerned about.
Go ahead, J.P. Madison.
I wasn't voting, I'm going to vote for the ordinance. I just didn't want to do it all tonight. I felt like the way that we needed to draw it out, so.
Thank you. You okay? Okay. Carly, would you call the roll, please?
Joe Maxwell.
Yes.
He'd ask for public comment.
Oh, do we have public comments? Okay, now call the roll. Thank you.
Joe
Got ahead of
Maxwell.
myself.
Gary McHenry. Joe Patterson. Butch Pond.
Yes.
Bill Ussery.
Yes.
Daniel Balls.
Yes.
Harvey Bowman.
Yes.
Rick Cochran.
Yes.
Robert Dennis.
Yes.
Lisa Eki.
Yes.
Ann Harbison. Sharon Lloyd.
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom.
Yes.
Eva Madison.
Yes.
Sue Madison.
Yes.
This ordinance is passed. Now, the next thing we have here is an emergency ordinance. That's going to be J.P. Cochran and Robert Dennis on the sewer system. J.P.
Okay.
Cochran.
Thank you, Judge. I'll go ahead and read this. I know we have changes, but I'll read it in entirety. 17.1 is an emergency ordinance amending ordinance number 2016-24 concerning community water sewer systems. Whereas ordinance number 2016-24 was adopted by the Quorum Court on April 21st, 2016, and whereas said ordinance is in need of amendment, now therefore be it ordained by the Quorum Court of Washington County, Arkansas, Article 1. Article 6 in ordinance number 2016-24 is hereby amended to read as follows. This ordinance shall be applicable throughout the unincorporated area of the county, including the extraterritorial growth area of any incorporated city, unless city enters into an interlocal agreement with the county for enforcement of this ordinance within the city's incorporated boundaries. This ordinance shall not be applicable in the event of any such system is or becomes owned, maintained, or operated by an incorporated city or school district. In the event that an incorporated city or public school district enacts ordinances or rules and regulations concerning said systems, the more stringent provisions shall apply. Construction of any new community-based sewer system shall require the engagement of an Arkansas licensed civil engineer at the developer's expense. Said engineer or engineer's representative shall be on site during construction and shall provide the county public utilities coordinator with written inspection reports on a weekly basis as to the progress of construction until said system is complete. The engineer shall certify to the county that the system was built as designed and approved by ADEQ and/or ADH. Article 2, Emergency Clause. It is hereby ascertained and declared that regulations on community sewer systems are immediately needed for the preservation of the public peace, health, and safety. Therefore, it is declared that an emergency exists, and this ordinance, being necessary for the preservation of the public peace, health, and safety, shall be enforced and take effect immediately upon and after its passage. I move to pass 17.1.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Yes.
Ms. Bobby come and address a question? I think she was part and parcel of this. First of all, I think this is very helpful, and thanks for coming up and answering some questions, but also just for the foresight of putting this together, because I think this closes some vulnerable spots for us. The only question I had was, I see in here we have daily written reports and submitted on a weekly basis. And I was just wondering kind of what if that was the stringent requirement, or if that was the bare minimum, or whatever, where we were trying to go with that, just trying, in the spirit of trying to not be too cumbersome. I know we want to close the loopholes and make sure that this is a system that doesn't put the public at risk or doesn't put home buyers at risk and have health issues or cost issues for homeowners. But is this kind of explain, I guess, the thought process behind a daily report as opposed to a weekly?
My intent with the daily written inspection report is that I have an engineer inspector out there monitoring the contractor and holding a diary of everything that's going on so that they can document to me that they've actually been out there. It doesn't have to be every detail, but I want them to be watching whenever these drip fields are going in, that they're being installed properly. And going out there once a week and missing 4 days of construction is not what I'm looking for. I need them to be out there watching while it's being constructed.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Y'all have any other questions for Renee? Okay, go ahead.
And on
I'm
this,
sorry.
I had the same concern as the other JP had. On this daily, we're not micromanaging here. I mean, we're causing some backlash, and are we going to expect the developer to have some additional expense because of this? I mean, burdensome kind of expense?
Anytime that utilities are installed within city limits in the city of Springdale or the city of Fayetteville, if water lines or sewer lines are being installed, that's a common requirement by their city engineering department, is that the developer incurs that expense to ensure that those lines that they're going to eventually belong to the city are installed properly. In this case, these lines won't eventually belong to the county. However, I still want to achieve the same purpose, that they're installed properly. So I don't think that it's too cumbersome. When we do water projects, we require an engineer inspector to be on site during the construction of all of our line to make sure, and it protects us as well, because that way the contractor doesn't cut corners, and us as the owner is also protected because we know that we have a quality product underground.
So you're saying that cities require also a daily written? I mean, daily written?
Yes, ma'am. They require that they have a hard diary. I'm not asking for them to submit me daily. I'm asking that they keep a diary, daily written inspection reports on a weekly basis, so that they keep their diary and scan it to me once a week and let me know that, yes, they were out here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever the work was going on.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, J.P. Bowman.
Can you help us with details? He says, or an engineer's representative. Can that be just an employee of the company the engineer works for, or is it
Yes.
some kind of qualifications involved there in that specific wording?
It can be someone that the engineer deems represents him and is making a statement for him, because he's signing off on these at the end of the week. So it can be whoever he chooses to designate as his representative If it's a large engineering firm, they usually have some. If it's a small engineering firm, you know, they might designate somebody that may not be as qualified as maybe the others.
Do most engineering firms have a number of employees to help with situations like this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Yes, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Madam Judge. Ms. Bybee, are we saying that this is more accountability than micromanagement?
Absolutely. What we found through history is these systems in the past were installed without any inspections taking place. Oftentimes, the systems that are in the ground right now today that were designed in 2005 don't even come close to matching the plans that were approved by the Department of Health, ADEQ, the county. But nobody ever went out there and inspected. Nobody required any oversight. And so this is a way to prevent that from happening in the future and moving forward. And I think a lot of cost and headache to the homeowners 10 years from now, they're going to say, oh, thank goodness we did this.
So this is more holding people accountable for what they're doing and what they're saying than trying to tell them and over.
Right.
Thank you. And micromanaging every
Yeah,
step
I'm
of the
not-
way.
I
And
don't wanna
it's elevating the standards of the county as well. I mean, you can't just say, sure, go ahead. I mean, we have standards of operations also and best practices. This seems to me the path you're trying to go down.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
JP
No further
Maxwell.
questions.
See that we've made an emergency clause. I'm assuming that means we have some project right now in the county that's under construction.
The reason for the emergency clause is it came to my attention after we passed the ordinance that we inadvertently left the words, any public entity. Improvement districts are considered a public entity. Right now, we have approximately 12 of these subdivisions. Out of those 12, I know probably at least 8 are improvement districts, so they're exempt completely from the ordinance that we passed as an emergency in April. So the reason for this being an emergency ordinance it has nothing to do with the engineer or inspector. It's to provide that improvement districts have to comply with our ordinance for financial assurances.
And in our previous ordinance that we repealed in 2014, we excluded improvement districts because that was what was popping up all over the place at the time. We were concerned about that. And we, in the last draft, when you reinstated the ordinance, that part didn't get in this. That was the emphasis that was driving this originally.
So the emergency is really just for the wording, not for a specific project that's currently ongoing.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. J.B. Lloyd.
I have one more question, just to be sure. You're saying that that city entities and stuff put this daily written on the backs of their engineers to do that?
On their engineering yes.
Okay.
Not their city engineers. On the developers.
No, on the developers' engineers.
Yes.
So this is common practice. This
It's
isn't
common
something that we
practice.
just, okay, thank you.
J.P. Dennis.
I like the comment about the history. If you've got 500 homes around a sewer plant that's not done properly the first time, it ruins the whole community. And we have that, and I came to this Quorum Court 20 years ago and stood before the court and said, this is crazy what you're doing. And I was reassured that, well, don't worry, we're going to be here to take care of it. Well, by golly, I don't see a single solitary we here now, not a one. And not a one was is still there to take accountability for it, that owned it, that put it in. They declared bankruptcy and walked away. And now we've got a terrible mess out at Valley View. Terrible. And you know, homeowners are going to suffer tremendously. So, yeah, we need to dot our I's and cross our T's, and don't worry about this being big government. This is just doing things right. So, yes, I'll be voting for it.
Any other comments? Any other discussion? Any public comment? Carly, would you call the roll, please?
Joe Maxwell?
Yes.
Gary McHenry? Joe Patterson? Butch Pond.
Yes.
Bill Ussery.
Yes.
Daniel Balls.
Yes.
Harvey Bowman.
Yes.
Rick Cochran.
Yes.
Robert Dennis.
Yes.
Lisa Eki.
Yes.
Ann Harbison.
Yes.
Sharon Lloyd.
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom.
Yes.
Eva Madison.
Yes.
Sue Madison.
This ordinance is adopted. The next thing we have 18.2, J.P. Cochran.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Judge. 18.2 is a resolution authorizing the county judge to apply for a grant from the Arkansas Economic Development Commission, AEDC, Division of Rural Services. Whereas the Quorum Court has determined that the Washington County Department of Emergency Management, DEM, meets eligibility requirements necessary to apply for a General Improvement Fund Community Enhancement GIF-1 grant from the AEDC Division of Rural Services, and whereas DEM has presented plans to add a bay to the Urban Search and Rescue Building, and whereas the Quorum Court recognizes the need for the project, concurs its importance, and supports DEM in its efforts to proceed with the same. Now therefore be it resolved by the Quorum Court of Washington County, Arkansas. Article 1, the county judge is hereby authorized to submit an application to the AEDC Division of Rural Services for the purpose of securing state grant funds in the amount of $55,000 to aid and assist DEM in executing the proposed project described herein. Article 2, the county judge is further authorized to administer the grant funds for the same project. I move to pass 18.2.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any public comment? With no comments, Carly, would you call the roll, please?
Joe Maxwell.
Yes.
Gary McHenry. Joe Patterson. Butch Pond.
Yes.
Bill Ussery.
Yes.
Daniel Balls.
Yes.
Harvey Bowman.
Yes.
Rick Cochran.
Yes.
Robert Dennis.
Yes.
Lisa Eki. Ann Harbison.
Yes.
Sharon Lloyd.
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom.
Yes.
Eva Madison.
Yes.
Sue Madison.
This resolution is adopted. Any other business or comments to come before this court this evening? Okay, I'm going to call for public comment, so, no, okay, we will open the floor up now for citizens' comments. Come forward, ma'am, and give it, no, ma'am, you need to come to the mic and speak into the mic and introduce yourself.
Here is all.
Yes, you're recognized, ma'am.
Sheet with all the names.
Okay, now we will
hello.
allow each person to have 3 minutes.
Okay. My name is Yelena Buyalova. I came here today straight from Rogers Bentonville area. It's why I was a little bit late. I stayed with somebody, Shana, like a sheriff. She's been through prisons, he had cancer, was resuscitated. She knows what the grief is, and she is, I am there, even we disagree about, for example, who did get to drink. I came basically to ask all of you to remove Dirty Hilder, sheriff of Washington County, that I've been trying to remove from his post since 2007. I'm a victim from harassment of his department, victim of harassment of his department, even in the courthouse. There is a constant issue. I've been arrested 8 times. I've been falsely accused by his department. The cars just track me down anytime I'm on the street, anytime I'm in a public place, at the stores. I wrote to presidents, city councils. It was Bush and Putin and Judge Moore, whom I also wish to remove, that lost a child and then lost battle to cancer, personal friend of his, and prosecutors. Like it's a whole county, nearly each leader in the county or civil leader or religious leader that I thought I could call or I could write a letter. I wrote to people who just been connected to present administration, but the way he proceeds with his department is horrible. I mean, it's like I have no life. I had to leave the county altogether because the protective order that was given against me when I did not make any comment, I was accused of putting threat on the phone against sister of my ex-husband as we started to battle with him in court. And she did it in some kind of psychotic way, accused me that I said a threat, then hung up. She involved some Artiga that I've never met, her out of Odlagdara, and Dirty Hilder sent his deputies to arrest me with no warrant of arrest. No rights were ever read. And since then, I'm battling him. I went to his face. I mean, I've never met him before, just like with Rudy Moore, just like with Mark Lindsay. He was very hostile towards me. It spoiled my reputation. I was endlessly embarrassed. My mugshot was on the internet for several years, from way back when I called Control and say, why do you keep my mugshot on the internet? People in Russia even see, and my reputation is so badly damaged. I can't explain that it was that dirty Helder's department's deeds that did it to me. People think I've done something wrong, and just because of me saying one sentence over the phone, I'm accused of felony, prosecuted. I have a felony on the record I don't deserve, I have not committed. But I try with courts and try, and now I cannot even come to the courthouse. His deputies were harassing me when the last time I was here, and I wrote to you personally. Just like with Shauna, I mean, with that sheriff. I say one thing, he said something else, and the public supports him. So same with FPD, except for Miller and Warren. So I ask you for a special meeting, for emergency meeting, where I could represent facts or statements.
Your 3 minutes is up, ma'am. I really appreciate it. But like I say, we have to keep it 3 minutes. Thank you very much. Any other comments? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you.